Cold Case, an Angelica Dale Mystery by P.K. Armstrong. Chapter 21. Downtown Osgood wasn't as picturesque as Fillmore. It was about 5 blocks long and was mainly office buildings. I spied an old-fashioned gift shop, diner, and barber shop, but there were no trendy developments, no boutiques, and no hip eateries. I passed the cross streets that led to Terry Flack and Chuck's offices and was almost out of downtown when I saw a surprisingly quaint coffee shop with a second-floor apartment. Here was the address I had located for Delaney Stevens. He lived in an apartment that happened to be above his favorite cafe, where he was known to hang out. I pulled up and parked in view of the front and smiled slowly as my hunch paid off. Yes, I said quietly to myself. Delaney Stevens was sitting at a small table outside the front of the cafe, typing on his laptop. I picked up my cell, dialed his number, and watched him pick up his phone. Hi, Delaney? Angelica Dale, we spoke earlier? Yes, yes. Delaney sat up straighter, alert, and a little excited. Are you ready for that interview? No, not yet, I said blandly. I am still putting pieces together. I was calling because I was wondering if during your investigation you came across the name Moira Adams? I watched as his body stiffened and he looked out onto the street. No, I don't think I'm familiar with the name Moira Adams. May I ask why you are looking for her? Did you get a tip that she is involved in the fire? I smirked. Nice. A new investigator might have fallen for his question, implying he thought Moira Adams was alive at the time of the fire. I decided to let him think he had fooled me. No, I discovered she dropped off some personal items for the museum display and wanted to speak with her about her family. I'm just making sure I'm thorough. You know? Oh, yes, Delaney agreed hurriedly. He was clearly uncomfortable. I'm sorry I couldn't help. Talk to you soon. He disconnected quickly, and I chuckled as I saw him immediately dial another number. He spoke for a few minutes and then hung up. He grabbed his coffee and shoved his laptop in his case, all while pointing the server toward his money that he had haphazardly thrown on the table. Seconds later, he was in his car speeding off, and I put my SUV in gear to follow him discreetly. He wove his way through town and eventually stopped at a little duplex in a neighborhood bordering the Orion Biotech complex. Large corporate companies like Orion were buying up large parcels of land, building huge facilities, and often included housing for some of their employees. Given under the guise of affordable housing, many in the community applauded the effort to care for the employees. However, the downside was that these organizations could end up manipulating their interns and recent college grads into working more hours. Some would argue that this is what young people should be doing at their age, endeavoring to be upwardly mobile. But psychologists say that teaching young people to disregard work-life balance was detrimental to their mental health. I thought about Moira Adams. Maybe that is what her instigating the museum display was about. Maybe she was trying to make a name for herself. I would have to find out. I parked in an inconspicuous spot and watched as Delaney made his way to one of the doors, knocked, and stepped aside as a young woman exited quickly and slammed the door shut. They stopped briefly on the doorstep, speaking excitedly and gesturing, and then Delaney took her arm and they began walking. They didn't go far. They stopped at a bench and sat down. I wasn't close enough to hear what they were saying, so I spent a moment observing Moira Adams. Moira was a tall and curvy girl with long dark hair. Her skin was pale, as if she spent too much time indoors. She was dressed in jeans, a sweater, and black biker boots. It looked as if she had quickly jammed on a stocking cap. Her hair was spilling out messily on one side, and she only had one glove on as she was pulling the other on as they walked. She held only her cell phone, no bag or purse. She seemed like a pretty smart girl. Her grades were tops at the school she graduated from, but I never thought that meant anything. I knew too many of my fellow students who cheated to get good grades. I watched Moira and Delaney's body language as they talked and had to admit to myself that I was confused. I was not watching a meeting of conspirators. Delaney was motioning to Moira as if he was accusing her of something. His hand was chopping the air as if he was saying either this or that. Moira was putting up both hands in a defensive manner and kept pumping them or pushing him away in an attempt to calm him or create distance between them. This was interesting. When I discovered they knew each other, I assumed something was amiss and they were in it up to their eyeballs together. But now I wasn't so sure. Moira eventually turned to leave, and Delaney grabbed her arm to stop her. But she shook off his hand and walked away, never turning around even when he called after her several times. Moira gained the sidewalk and hurried through the door, slamming it shut. I had no doubt that Moira was Delaney's tipster, and based on her information, he decided to start a new podcast. But this scene made me wonder if Moira was completely honest with Delaney. I knew as soon as she came out of the house, I would not approach them together. Their relationship, whatever it was fracturing, and I needed to use that to pressure Moira into telling the truth.